Welcome back to Tech and I am your narrator Samir. So here I am back with another episode in complete Python development from zero to mastery level. So today we will be learning about basics in Python and how programming works and what are different programming languages, and after that we are going to deep digger in some of programming aspects. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So basically, what is programming? So programming is basically defined as a set of instructions fed to a computer to perform particular tasks. For feeding some instructions to a computer, you need a language. So here comes the concept of programming language. What is a programming language? As we have already discussed, that a set of instructions fed it to a computer to perform particular task or to perform certain actions. That's simply known as programming. So to program computer we need a language. As we take an example of our real life communication. So we need a language to communicate with each other. So similarly, to communicate with our computers we also need a language. So those languages are known as programming languages. They are further defined into two different types: low level languages, high level languages, that we will be discussing later on. There are a ton of programming languages we are having today, but we will be mostly focusing on Python as we are learning Python. So how computer understand? As we already familiar about concepts of computers, that computer is such a dumb device that it can only understand binary language, is basically zeros and ones. So your computer only knows two states, whether it's an on state or whether it's an off state. So how we are going to convert our language or our instructions to machine language? Let's see. Translation. Let's take an example. You are having a French friend and you don't know French. So what you're going to do? How you're going to communicate with it? Here comes the concept of a translator. You are just going to arrange a translator who is familiar with your language and with French as well. So he's just going to play a role of a translator. He's going to translate all your conversation to that friend and vice versa. So similar concept applies to computers. As we know that there are two types of programming languages: high level languages and low level languages. So high level languages are those languages which are near to human or which are easily understandable by human. So those languages are basically tagged as high level languages. Then on the other hand, we are having low level languages that are not commonly understandable by human, but they are easily understandable by machines or our computers. So those languages are known as low level languages. Python, C Sharp, Java, these types of languages, or these languages, Python, C Sharp, Java, these languages are really high level languages. And so assembly language is basically considered as a low level language. So from here a new question arises: how we are going to perform these translations? In real life scenario we can just use a translator. How we are going to translate this high level language to low level language? So let's learn about it. How translation is being performed. So here is an example. A code written in JavaScript, Python or Jar or any other high level programming languages is being translated to machine language, or we can simply say that bytecode, zeros or ones. So how this translation is done? So there are two different methods for translating your code. Whether you can use an interpreter or just a simple compiler. So what basically these translators do? They take your code, translate it into machine code and then execute them. But there is not too large difference between these two translators. They are having all similar properties, but just they are slightly different from each other. Interpreter treats your code line by line. You are having a file in which you have written 30 lines. Interpreter is going to translate your code line by line. First of all, it's going to read line 1 in a file, then going to execute it. Again it's going to read line number 2 and then execute it. Again it's going to read line number 3 and then execute it. and this process will happen until your complete code is executed. While in compiler is just going to translate your complete file and then going to execute at once. So if you are using compiler and you have written 30 lines of code, so compiler is going to translate all those 30 lines in a single cycle, and then it's going to execute those lines on your machine. So that's a minor difference between interpreter and compiler. Let's learn about some different compilers. So basically compilers are also written in some sort of programming languages. Compiler can translate your human understandable code or high level language to low level language that can be easily understood by machine or can be executed on machine. So we are having Jython. Jython is one of the famous Python compiler written in Java. That's why it's named as Jython. You can download it from www.jython.org. I will be providing all these links in description, so please do have a look. Then we are having the most commonly used python.org. That's a compiler written in C. Yes, it's an open source. So let's take a look at GitHub repository. So here you can see repository for C Python. Basically the Python which you are going to download from python.org, it's going to be your C Python. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.